What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here after a long trip back from Manchester last night, getting back at 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Absolutely drab trip for Mourinho's first defeat as Tottenham manager, as we lost 2-1 at Old Trafford under the lights last night in the Premier League. This is our player ratings video. Let's get straight into it. We'll start off with Paulo Gazzaniga. We gave him a 7. After an initial mistake for the goal, I thought inexcusable really to get beaten at your front post and like push the ball into the goal. But apart from that, I think from then he kind of grew into the game and made a lot of crucial saves, especially in that first half. If it wasn't for him, we could have been 3 or 4 nil down going into that half-time whistle. But yeah, there you have it. We gave him a 7, and if it wasn't for that mistake, he probably would have got more. So Paulo Gazzaniga gets a 7. Moving on to Serge Aurier, we gave him a 5. Absolutely shocking crossing from Serge Aurier. You know, he was in such good positions at times to get the ball into the box, where we were crying out for someone to get the ball into the box all night, to be honest. You know, there were players like Harry Kane in there who could easily header. But anyway, Serge Aurier was getting in good positions, but just could not get a ball into the box, and that is why we've marked him down so low. Another point was that he got nutmegged just before Sissoko took out the man for the penalty, and then in the last couple of minutes he had a shot that just fell into De Gea's arms. So Serge Aurier gave him a 5. Moving on to Toby Alderweireld, we gave him a 7. I thought he was the most competent defender on the night. Not too much of note to talk about him, to be honest, but I just thought there was no mistake, so we gave him a 7. Not much to note with Toby Alderweireld. Moving on to Davidson Sanchez, we gave him a 5. I thought he was at fault for the first goal early in the first half. He just couldn't stop Lingard. Oh, he did stop him and then couldn't stop him for a second time. He just looked shaky really all night, and I think maybe instead of playing on the right-hand side of the defence, he should be in between Jan and Toby so he can be kind of guided through, you know, a young defender that he is. But it's just not good enough from Sanchez. We've said it before. I thought he's looked really good under Mourinho so far, but last night was probably his worst performance under Mourinho, and that's why we gave him a 5. Moving on to Jan Vertonghen, we gave him a 5 as well. He had a torrid night at left back. He had to deal with the pace of Daniel James and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and he just couldn't handle it, to be honest. He did have a hand in our goal, kind of putting the ball into the box from that left-hand side, but you know, in a game like this, I think it was really important to get pacey fullbacks, and I don't know if Jan Vertonghen in hindsight was a good option to play at left back, because it didn't provide us with enough width and enough pace on that left hand side. Maybe Danny Rose would have been a better option, but we'll get into that when we talk about Jose Mourinho. So Jan Vertonghen, we gave him a 5. Harry Winks, we gave him a 4. I think it was a shocking display from start to finish from Harry Winks. I thought he was losing the ball time and time again. Every time he got the ball, didn't look confident. Kind of balls a lot of time bouncing off him, going out of play. It just needs to be much better from Harry Winks, and I've been one to kind of like talk about Harry Winks being the heir to our centre midfield throne, but the more and more games go on, the more and more I just doubt myself and doubt Harry Winks. I just want to see him getting back to those performances from a couple of years ago, or from when he first broke into the team and he looked really good. But anyway, Harry Winks, we gave him a 4. Moving on to Moussa Sissoko, I thought in the first half he was probably our best player, a lot of energy, and he would have got, if he would have carried on that performance up until the end of the second half, he would have got a much better rating. But second half he was pretty much anonymous and gave away that stupid penalty at the beginning of the second half, just as we've got our way back into the game. Sissoko has to be doing better than that. You can't be making rash challenges like that in our penalty area. It's just not good enough. But all in all, I thought in the first half he was very good, but in the second half you can't be giving away penalties like that. Even if it was a penalty, if it wasn't penalty, it doesn't matter. You can't be making challenges like that in the box, especially after fighting so hard to get into that game. It's just not on. So Moussa Sissoko, like I said, if he carried on his first half performance all the way to the second half, you're probably looking at a 7 or an 8. But for that anonymous second half display, he moves it down to a 5. Moving on to Dele Alli, We gave him a 7. Probably our most creative spark out of the whole game. Everyone knows about Dele Alli. He's been producing under Jose Mourinho. Absolutely no stopping him. And what a goal he scored. You know, he sells out Ashley Young, puts him over his head, and what a lovely finish to put it into the net to bring us back into the game as we were crying out for, because I couldn't see a way that we were going to score. It was kind of out of the blue. And that's pretty much what he gets his 7 for. Moving on to Lucas Moura, we gave him a 5. I thought it was an anonymous display from Lucas Moura, albeit in the first half he was trying to make stuff happen, trying to run at their defence, but it just wasn't coming out for him. And then he got subbed off in the second half, and probably rightly so, because he just wasn't getting the rub of the green, and it just wasn't going for him on the night. And after a bit of intent early in the first half, he kind of just drifted into being anonymous, really. So Lucas Moura, we gave him a 5. Moving on to Heung-min Son, we gave him a 4. I'm starting to feel a bit for Heung-min Son, because he's playing very deep on that left hand side, just because Jan Vertonghen tucks in a bit due to Jose's commands. So I don't want to talk too badly on Heung-min Son, but he was a bit anonymous. But I think the reason he was a bit anonymous is just because he was playing so deep. I think if he could have got up the pitch a bit, then it could have been a different story. Everyone knows Heung-min Son when he plays through the centre, when he plays further up on the left, then we could see success. But yesterday they kind of just doubled up on him, tripled up on him, everything on him, and he just had no success whatsoever and was pretty much anonymous throughout the whole game. Which brings us on to Harry Kane. We gave him a 4. Pretty much didn't see the guy for the whole game, and when we did see him, he was in pretty much centre midfield positions. The guy, I understand why he moves into this central midfield position, but when he wins that ball in the central midfield position, there's no one up front to pass it to, so he wins it there, and he's trying to find the runners of Sonny and Lucas, and Dele, to be fair. Lucas, like I said, every time he gets the ball, he likes the ball to feet, so he likes to run at the defenders, but when it's not going for him, it really is not going for him. Heung-min Son, he's just playing too far deep on the left-hand side, so I think it was very difficult for Harry Kane to get anything out of this game, and especially as we were so toothless up front. It just is what it is at the moment, and especially in this game, I just think that we need to be more creative up front, and we were just playing balls over the top, trying to find Heung-min Son and trying to find Lucas Moura and trying to find Dele Alli in behind, but it just wasn't working. And sometimes we just need to change it up a bit, and we didn't do that yesterday, and that was a big problem in our play. Which moves us on to Jose Mourinho. We gave him a 4. It's actually the lowest mark we've given him since he's been Spurs manager. We've given him an 8 every single game so far. And the reason I'm giving him a 4 is because I think personnel was potentially wrong in the team lineup. I think a lot of people saw that before the game kicked off. I think the tactics, he didn't kind of evolve his tactics throughout the game, and we were just trying the same thing over and over again, trying to get that ball over the top. Toby Alderweireld was that main culprit, like trying to put the ball over the top, and it just wasn't working. It was either going out of play or finding a Man United defender, mainly Harry Maguire. And you got to change things in the tactics when things aren't going. You know, when you go over the top time and time again and it's not working, play it along the floor. You know, you've got players there that can play it along the floor. You've got Heung-min Son, you've got Lucas Moura, you've got Dele Alli, you've got Harry Kane. These players are good footballers, and they can pass it around a team like Man United, especially with such slow defenders as well, like Harry Maguire, Ashley Young. These players are there to be got at, and you can see it week in, week out with Man United. They're not the team that they used to be. Alright, albeit they're the only team that have taken points off Liverpool this season, and they turn up for the big games, but it's got no excuse to the way we played yesterday. In terms of the personnel, I think Ndombele should definitely have been starting instead of Harry Winks. Harry Winks had a shocking game, and I think Ndombele, in terms of ability, he's got to be the best central midfielder we have. So he should be the first name on the team sheet in that centre midfield, alongside a Moussa Sissoko, alongside a Eric Dyer, someone like that. We saw this season under Pochettino when Ndombele and Sissoko play together. They complement each other so well. But under Jose, we haven't seen them two play together in that double pivot yet. But I think they should be the two that we should be persisting with. Harry Winks, he's not playing well at the moment, and he needs to fight his way back into the team, and yesterday was not a testament of that. But anyway, that's my rant over. We move on to Burnley at home in the Premier League this weekend, 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Like, subscribe and comment and tell me below what you think of my player ratings. And as always, come on you Spurs.